Okay, so today we're looking at a YouTube transcript about the Nicholas Ray arrest. The core idea is that his threats against certain pro-Israel figures were, well, directly influenced by one particular public figure's message.
Right, a really potent claim there. A lot to unpack.
Exactly. So let's dive right in. How can we make this argument land with maximum impact?
Okay, well, the first big thing I think is the structure.
Yeah?
The central idea, this conscious liability claim, it's strong, really strong. But the way the material is laid out, it kind of meanders.
Okay.
It mixes the main ethical point with other bits of commentary that feel a bit tangential. It dilutes the core message.
I see what you mean. It starts off really powerfully, right? You get the arrest details, Nicholas Ray targeting Josh Hammer, Seth Dillon.
The big names.
And the link to the accounts Ray followed. That's solid evidence tying it back to the subject.
Absolutely. Super compelling start.
But then, the momentum just stops cold. It jumps into these kind of unrelated personal stories.
Like those hypotheticals about assassinations in Utah, Pennsylvania.
Exactly those. And then there's that really long religious bit about the Apostle Peter jumping out of the boat.
Yeah, the boat story. It's interesting in itself, but it really breaks the flow there.
It does. It completely stops the kind of legal or ethical case being built.
Totally agree. If you're building a case for liability, conscious responsibility, you need that precision, that focus.
Like a prosecutor laying out evidence.
Exactly. Like that. Rambling. Even with interesting points, it just undermines the authority you need. The structure has to be, well, relentlessly linear.
Linear, okay.
Think of it like a clear path for the listener. Almost like, a legal brief.
So how would that look practically?
I'd suggest a really tight 3-part framework. Super simple.
Okay.
1, state the thesis clearly. The arrest and the liability claim. Boom.
Got it.
2, present all the supporting evidence. The threats, the accounts followed, the specific rhetoric, those old rotten fruit references, all the proof points together.
Right. Build the case fact by fact.
Precisely. And then, only after all that, step 3, offer the conclusion. The ethical or, spiritual ramifications.
Okay. But wait, if we strip out all the spiritual stuff from the main body, aren't we maybe losing some of that high moral ground the author seems to be aiming for?
That's a fair question.
It feels like they want this to be more than just political commentary, like a moral reckoning.
Yeah, I get that. And it's not about removing it entirely, it's about placement.
Ah, okay.
That Peter anecdote, for instance, it's powerful commentary, potentially, but it shouldn't be interrupting the chain of evidence. It belongs later.
So put the proof first, then the reflection.
Exactly. For example, right after you reveal the 5 accounts Ray followed, just cut those political hypotheticals completely. They add nothing to the liability case.
Right.
And when the author talks about getting a letter in the mailbox, instead of those hypothetical questions, jump straight into analyzing the actual messaging.
Like the Proverbs quote they use later?
Yeah, Proverbs 18:21. Connect that directly to the real threats people like Alex Clark or Erica Kirk apparently receive. Show the cause and effect.
Okay, makes sense. Build the factual bridge first.
Yes. The spiritual context, the Peter story, that becomes the powerful closing argument, the moral weight after the evidence. Right now, Peter's just stalling the case.
Move Peter to the closing statement. Got it. That definitely feels tighter, more forceful.
It keeps the focus locked on that link. Rhetoric leads to action.
Okay, building on that idea of precision and focus, let's talk about language, the style.
Ah, yes, the tone.
There's this pattern of rhetorical concealment, using riddles, euphemisms, kind of hinting at things instead of stating them plainly.
I noticed that.
And it feels like it undermines the claim to be telling the unvarnished truth, doesn't it?
It really does. Can you give an example?
Sure, like when discussing Josh Hammer's background, instead of being direct, the author says, maybe it starts with a J and possibly ends with an oo.
Right, that specific one.
Or using phrases like the little mustache man or, unaliving instead of the actual words.
Yeah, the unaliving one is particularly jarring. It feels evasive.
It's confusing, but more than that, it kind of signals an internal conflict, maybe? Or hesitancy?
That's a good way to put it. If the whole point is that specific rhetoric, maybe anti-Zionist or anti-Semitic rhetoric, cause these threats.
Yeah?
Yeah, then you have to state that connection clinically, directly. Using hints and code words makes it seem like the author isn't willing to fully stand behind their own accusation.
Which weakens the argument's integrity.
Exactly. When integrity and accountability are supposedly the core themes, it creates this weird performance of self-censorship.
Yeah, like, oh, I can't possibly say the real word, but the whole point is about facing harsh truths.
Right. So the mandate has to be commit to clarity, ditch the dramatic implication. If you're demanding accountability for dangerous speech, your own speech needs to be precise, uncompromised.
Okay, so actionable steps. How do they fix it?
Go through the script. Hunt down every instance where names, events, or identities are obscured.
Okay.
Take the Josh Hammer example. When talking about why he was targeted, relating to the public figure's rhetoric, you have to choose.
Choose how?
Either state the ethnicity directly, if the argument really hinges on that being the reason he was targeted. Or just call him a pro-Israel lawyer or conservative commentator, objectively, without the distracting J and ooh riddle.
Get rid of the guessing game for the listener.
Exactly. The riddles make the listener do the work, and it breaks that authoritative tone you need.
And what about unaliving?
Replace it. Every time. Use the explicit term kill, assassinate, murder, whatever fits the context.
Be direct about the threat.
Yes, you have to maintain the seriousness of the threats, the gravity of the situation. If you soften the language describing the crime, you unintentionally soften the accusation against the person whose rhetoric allegedly inspired it.
That's a really crucial point. The critique's language needs to match the severity of the subject. Okay.
Which leads us nicely into the next point, actually.
Which is?
Maintaining focus in avoiding a kind of ethical double standard.
Okay. Explain that.
Well, the author sets this really high and frankly necessary standard for verbal accountability. Quoting scripture. Every word will be accounted for. Powerful stuff.
Right.
But then, to make the case for conscious responsibility, effectively, the material itself has to clearly distinguish between, say, legitimate criticism of dangerous messaging.
Okay.
And using the exact same type of demonizing, generalizing rhetoric that it's condemning in others.
And the weakness is that it sometimes crosses that line?
I think so, yeah. There are repeated instances of really charged, subjective, kind of sweeping character attacks on opponents.
Like what? Can you give examples?
Sure. Referring to individuals as filth, or even deeply disturbed man filth, describing opponents as being drunk off the wine of cuckoo Candace, or having a reprobate mind.
That language is definitely intense.
It is. And that kind of emotional judgment, it's exactly what gives the opposition an easy out, a counter-argument.
How so?
Because by using that same style of broad, demonizing language, the author basically distracts from their own point and blurs their ethical stance. It starts to look less about principle and more about, targeting specific people they don't like.
It makes the critique seem less objective, more personal.
Precise, which undermines the goal of establishing a universal principle of accountability for rhetoric.
So what's the suggestion? How do they critique the dangerous rhetoric without falling into the same trap?
Be rigorous. Define very clearly what type of speech crosses the line into actually instigating violence.
Like calls to action, maybe? Or sustained public targeting, slander?
Exactly. Nail down those definitions. Then focus the critique only on demonstrating how the subject-specific words or actions meet that definition.
Stick to the evidence of harm.
Yes. And avoid the sweeping personal judgments about someone's character or, their spiritual state. That stuff just invites counterattacks and deflects from the core issue.
The goal isn't, I hate this person. It's, this person's specific words caused this specific harm.
You got it. Subjectivity is the enemy of proving that kind of causal link.
Okay, concrete examples. How would they rephrase those charged bits?
Let's take the line, I named Josh Hammer. I believe he is a deeply disturbed man. Filth, okay? Absolute filth.
Yeah, that one's strong.
Instead of that, replace it entirely with an objective summary of why Hammer was targeted in relation to the subject's rhetoric. Focus on his published pro-Israel views, for example, and how those views were specifically attacked or misrepresented. It's about the content and its effect, not judging his character.
Makes sense. Connect the dots clinically.
Exactly. And that part where the author talks about giving the public figure over to a reprobate mind, again, replace that condemnation. Instead, provide a focused analysis. Show how the old rotten fruit, those specific conspiracy theories like implicating people in deaths, demonstrably led to the real-world death threats against Seth Dillon or Alex Clark.
Stick rigidly to the connection. Rhetoric, threat.
Yes. Use clinical, serious language to show that connection and its gravity. That is how you build an undeniable case for conscious responsibility. No distractions, no easy outs.
Okay, that's very clear. So wrapping up, this has been, well, a really insightful look at how to sharpen this complex material.
Definitely powerful stuff, just needs some strategic refinement.
We focused on 3 main areas, right? Structure, style, and focus.
That's right. So, to recap the actionable steps for the author.
Go ahead.
First, streamline that structure. Cut the tangents, the anecdotes that break the flow. Make the core argument about liability front and center. Relentless.
Keep it linear. Thesis, evidence, ramification.
Exactly. Second, eliminate the riddles and euphemisms. Commit to clarity. Use direct, precise, clinical language, especially when dealing with sensitive topics or serious threats. No more Joanne or unaliving.
Match the language to the gravity of the subject.
Precisely. And finally, define the standard for instigating speech clearly and stick to it. Avoid using the same kind of sweeping, demonizing rhetoric you're condemning. Focus on the causal link between specific words and specific harms.
Stay objective. Stick to the evidence.
You got it. That's how the argument gains maximum authority and impact.
Excellent. We're genuinely encouraged by the ambition here. It's tackling a really important issue.
Absolutely.
We really hope these suggestions are helpful. We'd absolutely invite you to refine the work using these ideas, and please feel free to submit it again. We'd love to see the next version.
Definitely. Looking forward to it.